Dag 2 på DreamHack Bukarest och CCS-finalerna är i full rulle och vi har med oss Natu som är kommentator här. Natu, you just ended your pro player career. How's the retired life treating you?
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby?
Not too shabby, yeah.
Well, okay, so you're here in Bucharest, but first I want to talk about the whole not playing Counter-Strike part of your day.
Yeah.
What made you take the decision to step down from pro career?
Well, it's been an ongoing debate in my head for quite a while, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said in my vlog, I have a family of my own, so that sort of makes you start thinking about how you spend your time. And I've always treated Counter-Strike sort of like a full-time job, even though I've always been working on the side. Well, you could say I was working for full-time and then playing CS on the side, but the time you spent basically just didn't match up with what it gave me financially. You could put it that way, to be honest.
Okay, and the whole losing Alu and then losing 3D Max as a sponsor and all that, was that like part of it?
I think it was more like the timing of how everything played out. This is sort of maybe accelerated the rate of how things happened. But it had been like, I would say, a couple of months. It's been sort of in my back of my head, and then I started talking about it to my teammates for a while now, and then yeah, just things sort of, everything seemed to like just go in the right place and happen now.
Okay, so you have a 15-year-long career behind you as a player. You've been playing internationally, you've been playing in Finland, you've been playing basically everywhere. Is there a highlight point sticking out for you?
Wow, that's a very hard question. I mean, there's a few, obviously. I mean, it's hard for me to put them in any order, really, but I mean, obviously, my first international event was WCG 2001, which was the first WCG as well in Korea, coming third in that tournament and the whole atmosphere for players, and it was something else. The whole Olympic feel that it had to it, and then joining Four Kings was a big step for me. That was basically me turning into a pro gamer. I was doing it for full time, getting salary, and you know, I guess a lot of people remember me from that era. And then the 69N 28E team that became Rocket afterwards. Obviously, we had a bit of a spell where we were maybe like the best in the world actually for a few months, winning a bunch of tournaments. And probably those are the highlights of my career. Obviously in CSGO, we didn't actually win any tournaments of international scale, but we had some good runnings, and I truly enjoyed it. And I had some great teammates to play with, like Alu, for example, and yeah, it's been just a fun ride.
Yeah, so this ride, 15 years long, as I said, and being one of the most experienced players in the scene, what can you tell us from, like, let's say the old Destination Skyline days to 3D Max days? Like, how do you think the scene has developed since then? Like, any big point?
I think the overall skill level of players have actually grown quite a bit. I mean, it's. I guess people have been spending much more time playing than what they did back then. People could focus much more into it. I think it's like everything just developing with our tools that we play with and etc. And people understanding how to exploit the games and so forth. So you know, it's just. I think the biggest thing for me, the two biggest things for me, is just the general development of eSports and how the business has grown into. Yeah, well, a pretty strong business already, and second of all, just the level of play.
All right, so now you're not a pro player, but you're here as an analyst. How do you like this kind of job compared to playing?
I mean, I've done it before already. It's obviously could be one of my retirement plans. Who knows? But it's fun. I mean, it's basically talking about Counter-Strike, and you know, as you said, I've played 15 years of Counter-Strike, so it's not going to be that hard for me to talk about Counter-Strike. And since I've been playing so much, it's easy for me to pick up on tells and things that maybe not everyone sees and understands. And my job is to try to deliver that to people so they can also see the smallest details. It's fun.
So speaking of your secret retirement plan, I suppose, will it be within eSports?
Well, I'll put it that way, or this way. I would be silly not to be involved in eSports after being around for 15 years. I've gathered a lot of contacts, I know a lot of people, I've done a lot of things aside from playing in eSports for a while now, and I mean, it's a growing business. It's not going to go anywhere, so I would be silly not to use that experience that I have and just disappear. So I'm going to be sticking around in eSports, yeah.
Do you have a dream job within eSports in mind?
That's
like maybe that's something out of reach as well, just something that you really would like to do?
That's a very tough question again, man. You're good at that. I mean, not really. I mean, at this point, I like this part of the job, being a part of the production and stuff. I'm interested in that stuff. So maybe on that side. Who knows, maybe more hands-on with some teams. I mean, I think there's a lot of different things I could do, to put it that way, I guess.
And you've been a huge part of the Finnish scene for a long time now. You being eliminated from the scene, whatever you call it, leaving that part of the scene. What do you see for Finland coming up, seeing as your star player in the country is playing for a Swedish team?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I have a lot of faith in my ex-teammates now. I mean, I think even after Al left, I don't think anyone really thought we would be anywhere close battling with the better teams. I think, for example, at the ESL Pro League finals just a couple of weeks ago, we were not actually, to be honest with you, we were not practicing all that much, and we were in a bit of in a period of where people were just not really hyped about playing with a lot of things, with 3 max going down and everything. And so, all things considered, I think we played actually pretty good. So, like, there's this certain hump that they need to get across. But I think, you know, as long as they just keep playing, there is hope that we will have a team. I'm sure there will be the majors. I'm sure there will be, you know, there will be a relevant team. And also, I hope there will be new players coming in, and just the community in general being open and have as many tournaments a possibility for younger players to come in and play, because like that's the only way you can really work your way up, and I hope it's improving.
All right, so looking at this tournament, NIP, TSM, Fnatic and Envious, we've seen the 2 first games yesterday. What do you take of that, and who do you think is going to win the tournament?
Thinking of yesterday's matches, I was more surprised with TSM beating Fnatic than I was NIP beating Envy, to be honest. TSM, however, is a team where, at least myself, I've been waiting for them to really peak and find their form and like get over those choking problems they've had, to be honest. And I mean, I hope they keep the level of play they did yesterday. When it comes to NIP, Envy, for me, the way I've seen NIP's problems against Envy, especially in the start ladder, it was more about self-confidence and the lack of that. And I mean, there's this thing I feel like any other matchup they feel very confident on, and like they feel, you know, they can beat anyone really. But when it comes to these guys, always seems like they're somehow just not playing like they should or they could, and seems like they just let Envy surprise them too much when they should know by now how they play, which we saw last night. They started to understand and adapt to the way Envy plays, and we saw the result, like they finally beat them. So going further, I think NIP right now is actually looking pretty good for this tournament, to be honest with you. I feel like they're probably going to edge TSM. Just because I think probably NIP's legendary players are still going to have a bit of a factor, you know, on TSM's approach, and you know, they're young guys, and we've seen them have those choke problems. So I think NIP would be the ultimate team you could have those choke problems with, especially. And so I think NIP is going to edge that, and then I think Fnatic is going to beat Envy here. Envy doesn't really seem that their composure seems to be somewhere other than here. And then it's going to be between Fnatic and TSM. I feel like Fnatic is going to beat TSM, and it's going to come down to NIP versus Fnatic, which is a tough one. I think, watching back to Katowice and the final between NIP and Fnatic, I feel like NIP threw that match. Especially they should have actually won that 2-0. They threw dust to losing that force buy. So I'm sure they're hungry for their revenge. So I would say NIP is probably is my pick to win this tournament.
Would you bet your life on it?
Oh snap, boy!
Obviously, I'm kidding. Obviously, no one would be stupid enough to bet their life on esports.
I would not. It's Counter-Strike after all.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for the interview. I have nothing more to add. Do you have anything you want to add?
Just thank you. Tack så mycket to all the Swedish people that have followed me and my teams and whatnot. Just keep rocking.